It is a beautiful weather night in Cincinnati as the Reds inch closer to the 2012 National League Central Division title. Even though they lost here last night, the Cardinals lost their game as well, so the magic number shrinks to 16 tonight. The middle game of this series, the Reds and the Astros, here on Fox Sports Ohio. Hi, and a pleasant good evening, and welcome to Reds baseball on this Saturday night. Along with Chris Welsh, Jim Couch, we're at Great American Ballpark for the second game, the middle game of this three-game get-together. Reds trying to bounce back from that defeat in the ninth inning last night. It's only the third time this year they have lost a game when leading after 8. And so tonight, Chris, they turn to the matchup that we had last Sunday down in Houston. Let's start with the guy on the Red side, Bronson Arroyo, who I guess you really couldn't turn to anyone that's pitching any better than him.
Well, even himself, he's got to look at himself and say, well, you know, I've shown everybody, all my detractors, that last year was an aberration. In fact, Bronson Arroyo is pitching as well as he did his first year here as a Red, going all the way back to 2006. I mean, he's been dealing. Last 5 starts, he's 5-0. His earned run average down to mid-2s. He has won 7 of his last 8 decisions. So, you know, normally when you're the number 3 starter in the rotation, you're not asked to be the stopper. But Bronson Arroyo has really done exactly that. Following a Reds loss, like the Reds lost last night, his record is 3-0, good earned run average, only allowed 2 home runs, so he keeps it in the ballpark, and he gets Reds wins.
Well, now on the other side of things, it is Bud Norris, a right-hander for the Astros, and while this guy has not won much as of late, he's really pitched well against the Reds.
Well, he really is. He's not won a ball game since May the 21st, but he has pitched very well his last time out. In fact, he was matched up against Bronson Arroyo. He went 6 innings of no-run baseball against the Reds, and he's throwing the ball very well. He averages about 92 miles an hour on his fastball. He's got a slider and a changeup, so it's not a lot to him as compared to Arroyo, who throws 5 or 6 different pitches. Norris keeps it very simple, but he's been awfully bad on the road. Look at that number, 2-10 on the road with an earned run average over 7. I would say the Reds hitters are thinking some pretty good hitting coming up tonight.
Well, we'll see how it all breaks down. The Reds try to get even in this series as they try, as we mentioned, to inch towards that National League Central Division Championship. If they get it, they're second in 3 years. We'll take a break. When we come back, how about that center field spot for the Reds? You take Stubbs defensively, you take Heisey offensively. Pretty darn good combination. The evening's weather report brought to you by Thompson Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drain Cleaning. Channel 12 WKRC's weather forecast, 72 degrees here at game time. Winds out of the west-northwest at 7. And as you can see, some clouds overhead for the second game of this three-game series, the Reds and the Astros. Talking about center field, we talk about Drew Stubbs, we talk about Chris Heisey. Here he is last night.
Well, you know what? Chris Heisey laid down 3 hits last night. You see that, a triple, which was a very important one in a one-run ball game. But his defense, how about Heisey covering center field, doing a lot of acrobatic work out there. There's the triple that put himself in a position to be able to come in with a go-ahead run. And Chris Heisey is putting some pressure on Drew Stubbs. I don't know whether that's planned by Dusty Baker, wants to pit a little competition between Stubbs and Heisey or not. But I can tell you one thing, when it came down to the trading deadline, Drew Stubbs all of a sudden caught fire at the very end of July because his name was mentioned in a lot of trade rumors. You just wonder if maybe Chris Heisey hitting .392 since August the 1st is going to light a fire under this guy, Drew Stubbs, on the right. We'll see if that happens, but right now it's Chris Heisey in the lineup tonight.
Heisey in there, and again, indeed, and Drew Stubbs sitting out for another game here tonight. Well, the Reds trying to bounce back after that tough loss last night. Only, as we mentioned earlier, the third time they've lost after leading after 8 innings in 2012. On Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year, by the Regional Tourism Network. Let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati, USA. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili today. Reds and the Astros, middle game of this three-game series, second to the last time these two will ever meet as National League opponents. And let's take a look at the Astros lineup for tonight's game. Jimmy Paredes leads off. He's at second base. We've been seeing him play the outfield. Fernando Martinez and Brent Wallace round out the top three. Justin Maxwell, Jason Castro, J.D. Martinez in the middle, and then Matt Dominguez, Tyler Green, and Bud Norris. On the mound, it's Bronson Arroyo.
Is there a more fun pitcher to watch out there than Bronson Arroyo? I mean, after all, the guy doesn't even break 90 miles an hour on his fastball. He throws curveballs from every different arm angle, change-ups. He makes some of the best hitters in the league look miserable looking at really softball speed pitches. And he is looking for win number 12 on the year.
Only 72 degrees here at game time at Great American Ballpark. Paredes is a switch hitter, moved back into the infield due now to the injury to Jose Altuve, who left the game early last night with a left lower abdominal strain. Paredes 1 for 5 last night, under the 200 mark overall at 188. This year, 1 hit, 8 at bats, batting left-handed. Bronson Arroyo, 35 years old, has always had a career of very good second halves. After the All-Star break this year, no exception. Talked about his last 5, a 2.62 ERA. Reds got a little late help last night from the Milwaukee Brewers after that long rain delay in St. Louis. They eventually played that game, went 13. Ryan Braun, a home run in the 13th inning, gave the Cardinals the Brewers the win over the Cardinals, and so that lowered the Reds' magic number where it sits right now at 16. Nice strikeout to start the first inning. Let's take a look at the Reds defensively behind Arroyo. Ludwig, Heisey, and Bruce across the outfield. Frazier and Valdez the left side. Phillips and Votto on the right side. Hannigan catches Bronson Arroyo. Here's the right fielder, Fernando Martinez. Starts the game at 2:05 with 11 home runs. He's driven in 54. Last night 1 for 3. These Astros go from seeing Chris the hard-throwing Homer Bailey last night to the breaking ball soft-tossing Arroyo tonight.
Well, that's part of the setting up of the lineup, or the rotation, that is. If you're Dusty Baker and Brian Price at the beginning of the year, there hasn't been a lot of messing with it. Obviously, the same 5 guys have started every game with the exception of Todd Redmond in that extra inning game. Hard, soft, hard, soft. You just try to make it as hard as you can for the opposition to get into a nice little groove. And Dusty Baker remembers as a player the same way. One day you throw, a hard throwing right-hander at you. Next day you throw some soft throwing lefty, and then you bring a hard thrower back again, and it's hard to get into that little rhythm. But Arroyo is a guy that, you just don't practice hitting a guy like Bronson Arroyo. There's nobody out there that throws batting practice of 75-mile-an-hour curveballs. Just like he did to Jimmy Paredes to start the game off. He went 0-2 with a couple of curveballs, and then he went back-to-back high fastballs out of the zone as hard as he could throw them, and then dropped that slow curveball on him again, and Paredes was way out in front.
2-2 is hammered inside the first base line, and down into the corner it goes. Bruce will dig it out. There is Martinez rounding second and pulling up there with a 1-out double.
Well, there's no doubt about it that left-handers give Bronson Arroyo a lot more trouble than right-handers do, because that curveball kind of breaks right into them. That happened to be a fastball that I think they wanted up a little bit higher, and he got on top of that, did Martinez. And now he's going to have to figure out a couple left-handers here in Brett Wallace.
Wallace a hit last night, 1 for 4 plus a walk, so he was on 2 times. Take a look at the splits that Chris is talking about against Arroyo, and there they are. 287 is what lefties hit against him, 233 on the right side.
He's faced more lefties than righties. That's one reason why those home runs are a little bit lopsided there, but there's no denying it. Anytime a manager gets a chance, he's going to load his lineup with lefties against Arroyo.
Wallace trying to stay back, could not. Now he finds him in the hole, self in the hole, 2 strikes.
If you go up there against Arroyo looking fastball, you're going to be an easy out. I mean, really what you should do, if you can do it, and it's hard for a big leaguer to do it, is to go up there looking for something really soft. And you say, well, you're sitting at home, I know, and people are saying, well, Well, why don't they just do that? Why don't they just look for something soft? Well, the problem is when you sign a professional contract, or really from the time you get into high school, all you think about is getting your bat speed to the point where you can turn on a good fastball. And all of a sudden you face a guy like Bronson Arroyo who throws a wrench into the whole plan.
Well, you're jumping out in front all the time. Wallace jumps out on that ball, doesn't get it. He's a strikeout victim, the second of the first inning for Arroyo.
Well, another strikeout victim of the breaking ball right there, and he gives you good arm action. Arroyo does. He really comes through that like it's going to come in there a lot more, but I really believe that a lot of these lefties who swing and miss at a pitch like that, they look behind them in disbelief, saying, I was right on that pitch. Where did it go?
Well, Arroyo now looks for a 0 on the board here in the top of the first. He deals with the center fielder Justin Maxwell at 227 with 14 home runs. That's the most on this Astros club at this point in time. He teed off in the first inning last night against Homer Bailey. That 2-run homer gave Houston the early 2-0 edge. He's hit 4 home runs now against the Reds this year. Here comes Heisey. He's not going to get it. It's going to drop for a base hit. And the runner will score. That's Fernando Martinez. And so for the second consecutive night, the Astros take a first inning lead. And for the second straight night, it is Justin Maxwell who supplies the RBI.
Last night it was a long home run in excess of 400 feet for Justin Maxwell. He went 3-2 and hit a cutter a long way off of Homer Bailey. This time he gets a ball right out of the end of the bat. And if there is a ball that you're ever going to dive for as an outfielder, that's the ball right there, because it's not hit very hard. If it gets by you, you're not going to really give up much as far as extra bases. And if you make the catch, you end the inning with no runs. But early in the ball game, you may not want to take that chance. You may want to be more conservative later in the game when a game is on the line. That's the time when you may want to leave your feet.
Here's the catcher, Jason Castro. 1-0 Houston here in the top of the first. He drives this one to left, but Ludwig is there, and the inning comes to an end. Houston gets one on a couple of hits, leaves a runner. Reds come up for the first time tonight. For 2,993 in his long major league career. He'll hit 3,000 when the Reds are in Chicago later this season. Here's his batting order tonight. Brandon Phillips, Chris Heisey, and Joey Votto at the top. Middle includes Ryan Ludwig, Jay Bruce, and Todd Frazier. And then it's Ryan Hannigan at 7. Wilson Valdez, the shortstop, 8th, and Bronson Arroyo does the pitching and bats ninth against this right-hander Bud Norris, who's been very good against the Reds.
For the Astros, back-to-back 27-year-old right-handers. Last night, hard-throwing Lucas Harrell. Tonight, hard-throwing Bud Norris. The difference between those two, though, is that Norris has been around a while. He makes his 94th career start, and he's under 500 in that category overall. He's 5-11 this year. He's pitched a lot better than that 5-11 record, though. Looking for his first win since May the 21st. So it's been a drought as far as victories, but the guy has thrown some very good ball games, including the one that he pitched last against the Reds. He was matched up against Arroyo. In fact, he outpitched Bronson. 6 innings of no-run baseball in that game.
You'll get Phillips, Heisey, and Votto here in the bottom of the first. Brandon in the #1 spot in the order now for the 3rd straight game since the return of Joey Votto. Well, you look back at that game that you're talking about, Chris, on the 21st of May. Norris won that game over the Cubs. He had a record of 5-1 at the time, was really rolling.
Yeah, he was.
Hard toward right field, but playable out there as Martinez hauls it in. That's the first out in the bottom of the first. Houston defensively behind Norris will line up like this, brought to you by your Ford dealers. J.D. Martinez, Justin Maxwell, and Fernando Martinez. No relation between the Martinez boys. Dominguez and Green on the left side. Paredes and Wallace on the right side. Jason Castro catches Bud Norris. Chris Heisey, 3-hit game, as Chris alluded to last night, including a triple. He's now hitting the season best 7 in a row. Back-to-back multi-hit games. 2 hits against the Phillies on Wednesday, and that 3-hit game here last night.
I can't remember the last time Drew Stubbs was out of the lineup 3 games in a row for reasons other than an injury. So this might be a little motivational action on the part of the Reds manager to get him kicked into gear a little bit.
Well, we used the term yesterday, which came right out of Dusty. They're making some changes to the offensive approach of Drew Stubbs.
Yeah, and when you're coming down to the playoff time and you're trying to figure out what your lineup is going to be, what your roster looks like, and who you're going to run out there to give yourself the best chance to win. You know, this is a very important time. This is like a last month audition for Heisey and probably Drew Stubbs.
Yeah, we talked about the Astros doing that kind of thing, auditioning for jobs for next year and how things are going to stack up. The Reds are doing the same thing, but towards a different goal right now.
With bigger things on the line.
Heisey thought that was high. It's called strike 3 by Lance Barksdale, and Norris gets the second out of the first.
Well, Barksdale used to be one of the tightest umpires around his first few years in the major leagues, and he's loosened it up a little bit this year. His number, if you want to go by that, the number of pitches that he sees that he calls strikes is up close to 65%, which puts him at the higher end of the umpiring strike zone, relatively speaking. But you can't get a better name for an umpire, though, than Lance Barksdale, can you?
That's pretty good. Votto with 2 out. Joey has been on 6 of the 8 times that he has come to the plate in the 2 games since his return. Last night he walked 3 times. Walked once in the game on Wednesday. Shift is on defensively. 3 defensive players on the first base side of the infield. The shortstop is way over there, Green, with Paredes and Wallace, with Dominguez playing a deep shortstop spot. Their third baseman. And as we see a lot of against Votto, the outfield shifted the other way to go toward left center. You can see Maxwell shading toward the left center field alley. Joey gets ahead 3-1. Three for 10 lifetime against Norris, including a home run for Joey Votto. Hits it the other way. May have broken his bat. Has himself a base hit. Left fielder J.D. Martinez will track that ball down, and Votto is aboard with a 2-out single.
You know, if you're Bud Norris, you're thinking, chances are I go 3-1 to Joey Votto. He's getting on base one way or another. He's probably going to walk like he did 3 times last night if he doesn't get a base hit. Here, he throws him a strike, little slider in on his hands, and he may have broken his bat, but he got right in on the thumbs, but Votto picks up a base hit. So that on-base percentage, which is up around .480, means he gets on base 48% of the time, just continues to climb.
Here's Ludwig, a pair of first inning runs batted in last night's game, coming against Lucas Harrell. Sitting now at 74 on the year. Had 75 1 year ago in his combined season between San Diego and Pittsburgh.
I know you looked at me funny after I said 480 on that on-base percentage. You checked it out. It's really 471 coming into this ball game. I'm just giving you a little red spin with him getting a base hit in the first inning. It's got to go up a little bit.
Pretty good number right there.
Yeah. Any way you cut it. If you're on base 47, 48% of the time, you're giving the guy behind you a chance to put some big numbers up from the RBI standpoint. And when you go to the arbitration table, that's what people want to know. How many home runs did you hit? How many did you drive in? How many runs did you score? Of course, Joey doesn't have to worry about that. He's going to be a Red for a long, long time.
Votto held over there at first by Brett Wallace. Joey on the year has 5 steals in 8 attempts. As we mentioned earlier, only his 3rd game back. I don't see him doing much running at this point, do you?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I wouldn't here anyway. I mean, even if his leg felt great, he never had surgery and so on, there's no reason right here. I mean, you've got a pitcher on the mound that's given up 20 home runs on the year. You're playing in a small ballpark. You're down to number 4 hitter. And he's ahead in the count, 3 balls and a strike. I say let Ludwig swing, and he hits it right. Votto can jog around the bases.
He's done well against Norris, 6 out of 18 lifetime. He got under that one and hit it in the air near second base. Tyler Green, the shortstop, gives way at the last moment to Paredes, the second baseman. Votto stranded, and the Reds finished here in the first. Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Big news out of last night's games around the National League. Steven Strasburg of the Nationals now has been shut down for the remainder of the season after that 3-inning outing last night. Puts him just under 160 innings on the year.
Well, as explained by his manager, Davey Johnson, said, you know, the media hype on this thing is just unbelievable. And it's been too hard for Steven Strasburg to get ready for a game, to concentrate on the game, with everybody asking him, is this your last pitch of the year? Is this your last game of the year, inning, and so on? And they decided to stop all the advice from former pitchers and pitching coaches and media types and medical people to finally say, hey, you know what? We're just going to shut him down. He's reached his innings limit. Let's put an end to it. And I think it became a distraction to the Nationals as well.
There's Brandon having that ball go right off his glove as he tried to backhand that thing near second base. That's going to be ruled as an error on the Gold Glove second baseman.
As well it should be, but it's still only his 5th error on the year, which is unbelievable.
Reds committed 2 errors in last night's game. Charged with 1 here early in tonight's affair. J.D. Martinez aboard. Here's Matt Dominguez. Only his 2nd home run of the year last night. It came in the top of the 9th inning against Aroldis Chapman with 2 aboard, giving the Astros just their 3rd win of the year when they've trailed after 8. 3-82 now their record when trailing after 8 innings in a game. They scored the 3 in the 9th last night, hung on to win 5-3. Dominguez did not start in that game last night. He came in for Jose Altuve, who left with that abdominal strain. Ended up going 2 for 3. He had also not played on Wednesday. He had a sore left wrist. Didn't appear to hurt him in that swing last night. Bruce adjusts on this fly ball, makes the catch out in right, and that's the first out here in the top of the 2nd. The batter will be Tyler Green. Green last night 1 for 4. He had that 1-out single in the 9th inning, snapping an 0 for 12 drought. That was also against Chapman. That put him aboard, and later on it was J.D. Martinez who had the pinch hit single. He was aboard when Dominguez went deep. Runner going. Reds pitch out. Throw is dead on from Ryan Hanigan. Great pitch out called by Chris Spire from the Reds dugout, and they nail the runner at second base, Martinez.
Yeah, if you're Tony DeFrancesco in that Astro dugout, you're wondering, all right, how did they get our sign? Because it was just right on the money that the Reds knew something was up. Maybe it was a different lead by the runner. Maybe it was a different set of sequence of signs the third base coach made. Maybe they're looking in the Astro dugout and they picked up something over there. But either way, that is a dead to rights out at second base.
He is really done talking about Ryan Hanigan. A great job of throwing out would-be base stealers this year. He's up over 40% now at 41%. He's gotten over 50% of the runners that have tried to go against him here in the last 6 weeks or so.
Well, what's really helped is, of course, you've got Johnny Cueto, who's the best I've ever seen as a right-handed pitcher holding runners on, and Bronson Arroyo has just, you know, he's only given up 6 stolen bases and 5 throw-em-outs now.
That ball eluded the glove of Frazier, the third baseman. It looked like, did it? He was going to cut that ball off.
Well, they're going to give him a base hit right here. Looks like Frazier wants it, but he can't get to it. Rather than tip it with the tip of his glove, he ends up letting Valdez get it, who can't get the handle, so that's an infield hit.
So the pitcher spot, Bud Norris will come up with a runner on and 2 men out here in the top of the 2nd. Norris on the year, 5 hits, 3 runs batted in, and he chops it to the mound, and Arroyo will make the play. Norris gone, so are the Astros. Reds will come up with Bruce, Frazier, Hannigan in the bottom of number 2. September the 10th here at Great American Ballpark for the second Bark in the Park night presented by Imes and Kroger. Dog packages are sold out, but you can still be a part of the fun with a package that includes 2 infield box seats, 2 Bark in the Park leashes, and a special Flexi USA retractable leash, all for just $50. Visit Reds.com/dogday for all the information. 1-0 Houston. We play in the middle of the second inning here from Great American Ballpark. Very good Saturday night crowd. Ready to be entertained by some Reds offense. Had a runner on in the first. Votto a 2-out single. Now here's Jay Bruce to lead things off here in the bottom of number 2. His streak of 4 homers in 4 games came to an end last night. He hammers one here, deep to center. That ball is clobbered, and that ball is gone. Home run for Jay. Number 33, and that's a new career high for the Reds right fielder.
Now that didn't take long. How about a first pitch fastball? You get it up out over the plate. Bud Norris watches. Everybody in this ballpark knows, though, that baby ain't coming back. Boy, he hits the baseball and it just keeps going and going and going. And he is some kind of hot when it comes to home runs right now.
How about 6 now in his last 8 games, second behind Ryan Braun in the National League, and now Frazier is hit by the pitch. Boy, the home run got the folks off their feet. Now they're engaged in the game. Frazier plunked, and he's the go-ahead run aboard here in the bottom of the second.
That's a no-doubter right there.
Kidney shot. He'll be held over there by Brett Wallace.
You don't see it very often anymore, but back in the days of Dusty Baker, I mean, that was the way it happened. I had a home run, and if you felt like they were leaning out over the plate a little bit, if you thought you made a pretty good pitch and that hitter hung in there well and took you deep, that next guy was going down, or at least being pitched inside. Play a little dodgeball.
They estimated the distance of that home run ball by Bruce at 421 feet. I mentioned he did not homer in the game last night. He was trying to tie the franchise record for 5 homers in 5 games, held by Ted Kluszewski, Johnny Bench, Adam Dunn, Ken Griffey Jr. Didn't homer last night, but comes right back and hits one tonight. Hannigan now at a ball and a strike.
It was Hannigan before the ball game down around the batting cage getting on Jay Bruce saying, hey, you can't hit him in 5 games in a row, huh? What's the matter with you? Why not? And Jay Bruce didn't say anything. Probably just listened to him, got in the cage, finished with his BP, and said, show him.
Show him in the game. Get it done. So a 1-1 affair here in the bottom of the second.
There was no warning issued by the home plate umpire, Lance Barksdale. But he did walk out there and make sure that everything was cool with Bud Norris. Todd Frazier wouldn't overreact. Frazier understands.
Hannigan last started on Tuesday. That was the game against Kyle Kendrick. Second game of that 3-game series against Philly. Had a pair of hits in that game, 2 out of 3. So he's sitting at 286. A couple of homers. He's driven in 19. Milwaukee, they've jumped out in front at St. Louis 2-0 in the second inning of that game tonight. Pittsburgh in the third at home, leading the Cubs 2-1. Runner going. Slapped to right field. Caught out there by Martinez. Wild throw back to first and safe there. Getting back is Frazier. I don't know, Chris. It looked like a good throw with a double Todd up there.
Oh, there's no question about that. A throw anywhere near the bag would have doubled him up out there. But I think Martinez panicked a little bit because it's not often that you get this chance to throw behind the runner. And he got so happy that he was going to throw that ball as hard as he could. He kind of had his shoulder fly open. The ball flew to the infield side of the first base bag. And Todd Frazier gets in there, avoids the tag.
Good camera work right there to see that the tag of Wallace did indeed miss the jersey of Todd Frazier. So now it's Wilson Valdez who gets the start again tonight. He was, of course, in there last night. Was also in there on Tuesday. Zach Cozart misses another game for the Reds here this evening. He's been out the last 3, counting today, now the last 4. Talked about last night he had a sore back. They've changed that diagnosis on a sliding catch out there in center field by Justin Maxwell. Now Cozart has a left oblique strain. Talked to Paul Lassard before the game. He said he's listed as day-to-day right now. Those things can be touchy, though.
Yeah, the oblique is, you know, it can be in the back, it can be in the side. It's essentially when you pull one of your rib muscles. And normally those that are in the back are more severe than the ones that are in the front or the side of your rib cage. But any of the ones you have, and almost everybody who's played baseball for long enough is going to sustain an injury like that. It's mainly pitchers that get them. And it just takes a while to get over them because every time you cough or sneeze or roll over in bed the wrong way or reach to pick up a gallon of milk or a suitcase, you seem like you can, you know, bounce right back to square one.
And I guess while there's never a good time to be injured, this isn't a terrible time for a player in that it is September. There are extra bodies here, and this club does have the benefit of an 8.5 game lead.
Well, better now than September 25th when you're going to miss some time and then come back, maybe lose your timing. He'll have a chance to come back, get strong, and kind of get back in the groove again. What it does keeps Dusty Baker from doing is getting his lineup set the way he wants to have it set. As soon as you get Joey Votto back, you're thinking, all right, I'm completely whole now. Well, you lose Scott Rowland, then you lose Zach Cozart, so you're still kind of filling in the pieces the way he's had to do really for the last 2 months.
We know, of course, that Rowland had an MRI on his back. He's had some issues there. Definitely will not be playing this weekend. Will be reevaluated again on Monday. Arroyo strikes out, but the 33rd of the year for Jay Bruce has evened this game 1-1 after 2. This evening's game, we look forward to passing along a little bit later on our Miller Time moment of the night, brought to you by Miller Lite. All right, how about our Farmers Insurance report card on this right-hander, Bronson Arroyo? And you see Bronson, 5 straight starts by Arroyo, 1 by the Reds for the first time since 2008, and really he's done even better than that.
Well, he's picked up 4 of the wins, and if you go back to 8 starts, he's won 7 of his last 8 decisions. And in 2 of the last 5, he's gone 8 innings. So he's not like he's going cheapies out there where he's going 5 and fly.
This is a guy who had only 3 wins going into the month of July. 3. Now he is sitting at 11. Top of the order, second time through the lineup for the Astros. Paredes, then Fernando Martinez, then Brett Wallace. Paredes a strikeout victim his first time. Easy to his right will handle this fly ball. That's the first out here in the 3rd.
Well, Arroyo really defies what a lot of pitching coaches and organizations, when they go into the amateur draft and they're looking for a pitcher to call up, Arroyo is probably the last style of pitcher that they would ever want to draft. Here's a guy that only throws his fastball about 37% of the time. The average major league pitcher throws it about 60% of the time. He throws a slider, a cutter, a curveball, a changeup, and then you start multiplying all those 5 pitches times all the different arm angles in which he throws every one. So he really has, maybe 12 different pitches that he throws. The whole idea is just to keep the hitter off balance.
There aren't really many guys, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, that are exactly like him around the league.
No, there aren't. But when's the last time you saw a batting practice pitcher out there throwing a big slow curveball?
Never.
You never see anybody practice hitting it. It's kind of like a knuckleball pitcher. I mean, he's really the Reds version of R.A. Dickey, in as much as he's that, somewhat unique, in as much as no one pitches the way Arroyo does, and no one really pitches the way R.A. Dickey does, at least not right now in Major League Baseball.
Martinez doubled his first time, later scored on the single by Justin Maxwell. This Astros club won for only the 15th time away from Minute Maid Park this year when they won here last night in the ninth.
And I really believe that part of the success for Bronson Arroyo over the years has been his catcher Ryan Hannigan. I mean, really, when Hannigan came on the scene, he was the guy that was paired up with Arroyo, and he's the one who has a feel of the hitters. He's watching the hitter's feet. He's watching very small adjustments that a hitter may make from pitch to pitch or even from at bat to at bat. This time the guy's a little closer to the plate. You know, this pitch he's a little more open stance, so he's always watching that kind of thing, and he's helping Arroyo negotiate his way through lineups that way. They've got a good thing going on.
Brett Wallace now with a runner on and one out. Maxwell waiting on deck. He had the RBI single back in the first. Wallace up and down a couple of times this year between the big league club in Houston and the AAA team in Oklahoma City. Most recently recalled on the 29th of July. You combine his minor league home runs this year with his big league home runs. He has 23 homers, 74 runs batted in between AAA and the big leagues this year. That's the best he's ever put together.
You know, they're still trying to figure out a way to translate minor league numbers, because depending on where the player plays, whether it is a home run favorable league and ballpark, and what does a 300 average at AAA mean in the big leagues? What does 30 home runs in AAA mean when you get to the major leagues? And sometimes it takes a while to figure that out. But Wallace 2 times in a row has tried to slow his bat speed down just to make contact on that slow curveball, and he can't do it. And he goes back, dragging that bat back to the Astro dugout for the 2nd time in a row, wondering, how in the world did this guy get me out? Same pitch, same bad swing.
So 3 strikeouts for Arroyo. 2 of them have been Wallace. And now it's Justin Maxwell. He offers it the first one and fouls it back for a strike. Maxwell was not in the lineup for the Astros last Sunday down in Houston when Arroyo pitched against them. These 2 teams will close out this series tomorrow. It's an afternoon game. It starts at 1:10. Reds live here on Fox Sports Ohio at 12:30. Johnny Cueto goes for victory number 18 against an interesting story in 29-year-old right-hander Edgar Gonzalez of the Astros. Former highly touted prospect for the Diamondbacks. Picked up a win in his first start for Houston 5 days ago, marking his first big league win since 2008 with Arizona. He'll pitch here tomorrow for Houston. And let's see, the Dodgers bounced back with a win today, 3-2, after losing that game late last night out in San Francisco. So the Dodgers snap a 3-game losing streak, back within 4.5 of San Francisco. Started a game and a half out of the wild card in the National League.
In that ball game against the Giants, they were behind late in that game, and they came back to take it. They were losing 2-1 until they scored 1 in the 8th and then 1 in the 9th and ended up winning 3-2.
So there's your updated West Division standings. Did he catch a piece of that? He did not. The ball was dropped. Hannigan puts the tag right there on Maxwell, and that puts an end to the Astros' third. They've left 3 so far in the game. We're 1-1. Here come the Reds in the bottom half. Hal McCoy writes that no matter how much Drew Strub struggles at the plate, his defensive ability cannot be matched. Plus, Pat McManaman and Zach Jackson go over the bigger questions facing the Bengals in their weekly column, Idle Chatter. All that on FoxSportsOhio.com. And Reds fans, if a Reds player hits a home run during tonight's game and they hit this Toyota Tundra sign, Danielle Schaefer from Cincinnati, a proud owner of a 2011 Highlander, will win this beautiful new Tundra on display here at GABP. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers.
Hey, that home run that Jay Bruce hit did not miss by much.
No, it really didn't. That was one of the closer ones we've seen. The sign, of course, out in right center. The truck is way above the Reds bullpen in left center.
When you get that close, you at least get a hubcap.
Find yourself some hubcaps and donate them. That truck, I don't think, has hubcaps.
I think those are a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I might be driving the only car with hubcaps still.
Well, yours only has 2, though.
Well,
you've donated 2 to a good charity, I guess.
I wish they matched, too.
Can't have everything. Phillips leads it off here in the bottom of the third.
Here's a home run ball we're talking about. There's the sign up here. And the home run ball right there. So really not too far away. The home run ball right about there. So
another 15 feet or so, maybe 10 feet, that would have hit the sign.
To talk to Jay Bruce about that.
A little power there. Phillips hard to right field. Martinez back over his head. It bounced off the top of the wall. That's a home run. Brandon Phillips, number 16. The Reds have taken a 2-1 lead.
Well, Brandon Phillips has hit the ball very hard to right field his first time up, but right into the glove of Fernando Martinez. This time he says, Fernando, I'm going over your head this time. And right off the top of the wall, that ball goes into the moon deck. Well, those are great seats out there. Not so great if you're pitching in this ballpark because they seem like they're right over your left shoulder. It's a great place to watch the game, though.
Phillips came into this game leading all Major League second baseman with 71 runs batted in. Gets number 72 right there, and a 2-1 Reds lead. So both the home runs via the long ball.
That's spreading the wealth right there.
Five
Votto that with 14.
5 with at least 15. Then you throw in Votto. This team with 2 home runs tonight, 162 on the year, second only behind Milwaukee. Hard hit to center, but Maxwell reads it, makes the catch. Heisey the first out here in the bottom of the third. Here's Votto. Broken bat single in the left his first time. Hits are even now in this game at 3, with 2 of the 3 Reds hits leaving the ballpark. Another broken bat. This into the shortstop spot, fielded by the third baseman Dominguez. Votto is retired 5-3. With 2 at bats, 2 broken bats for Joey Votto tonight. And on the plate, it'll be Ryan Ludwig. Jumps on the first pitch, sends it high toward the right field line, and in comes Fernando Martinez to haul that ball in. So after the home run, the Reds go in order, but for Brandon Phillips, number 16 has given the Reds a 2-1 lead after 3. $2,000 furniture fair shopping spree from the Reds and Furniture Fair. Visit the registration table located just outside section 120 inside the ballpark before September the 27th for an entry form. No purchase necessary. Postcard entries are also accepted. 3-inning totals: 2-3-1 Reds, 1-3-0 Houston. Astros have left 3, Reds 2. Bronson Arroyo back to work. Jason Castro, the catcher, leads things off. Between he and Chris Snyder, who was the man behind the plate for the Astros last night, they have called 90% of the games for this Houston team this year. Snyder, a right-handed hitter, Castro, a lefty. Hit the ball hard, but out into left field his first time. And he hits this one into left field. Ludwig gives way to Heisey. That was right at Ludwig. Heisey apparently called him off. Heisey makes the catch for out number 1.
Well, you got a couple of fly ball pitchers pitching out there tonight. Bronson Arroyo gets about 53% compared to ground balls, fly balls, and that's just a little bit a notch above Bud Norris. So outfielders are going to get their fair share of pop-ups tonight.
J.D. Martinez.
And there are also 2 pitchers that between them now, and the 2 home runs that Norris has given up. 45 home runs between these 2 pitchers. Of course, that was the number that Bronson Arroyo gave up by himself last year.
Yeah, that home run total number has really dipped down. Not going to end up half of what he did last year, but it's awfully good in terms of where he was a year ago. Well, he continues to be throughout his career. Last time we worked the Bronson Arroyo game, Chris, on TV, I think it was in Philadelphia, we talked about how well he has done post All-Star break throughout his career, but I'm not sure we ever really got into why do you think it's been like that?
Well, I think that he just begins to get the feel of things early in the year when you face a guy like Arroyo and the air is thinner, it's cold out, you don't get a lot of break on your curveball. He's better in the heat of summer when he flips that curveball on a hot, humid night and that ball has some bite to it. When you try to throw that baby and it's 50 degrees and cold outside, it just doesn't. First of all, you can't get a good grip on the baseball because they're slick and the seams aren't nearly as big as they used to be, and there's not much resistance in the thin air, colder air, than there is in warm, humid air in the middle of summer.
Clearly a big difference, over a run's difference between his starts first half and in the second half.
I think that's just my theory. I can't tell you that that's the way Bronson Arroyo feels about it, but
look at the difference in losses. 22 more losses in the first half versus the second half.
Well, he usually gets a lot of decisions, and this year has been somewhat unusual because he's had a lot of no decisions out there, but he's a guy that normally hangs around one way or another. He's going to end up with the W or the L because he pitches deep into a ball game. Of course, he's pretty much a lock at the beginning of the year to give you 200 innings,
which he is on pace to do again this year.
Missed it last year by 1 inning.
Well, he hard charge though there at the end, didn't he? Threw something like 24 of 27 innings in his last 3 starts to get to 199 last year.
Well, that would have been his 7th consecutive. This would be number 8. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt right there and just round it down to 199.
Reds leading 2-1 on the strength of a pair of solo homers.
Gil Gusweiler in the house tonight. You order a golf lesson up here?
Not for tonight.
All right, well, we'll put it on hold. You could use a couple.
From what I understand from the people that play with you, so could you.
Indeed. In the meantime, I just get strokes.
Well, we know one guy who won't be taking any golf lessons in the near future. Your partner, Marty Brennaman.
Yeah, he's on the golf DL.
The golf DL. Little tendon issue in the elbow.
Yeah. Gonna have surgery, Marty is.
Sliced into right by Dominguez. The Astros have a pair on with one out here in the 4th inning. Matt Dominguez, in only his 12th game with this Astros club, came over from the Marlins in that Carlos Lee deal in early July. Done some damage here.
That's a nice little swing and a good approach. I mean, if you're facing Bronson Arroyo, I really believe that the bigger the swing you have, the easier the out you are, because you're going to wind up and he's just going to hit that ball the other way. He's going to tell himself from the beginning of this at bat, I'm just going to hit it to right field no matter what, because all of his breaking pitches are going to be going the other way.
Astros now have the tying run in scoring position.
A little better crowd tonight here at Great American Ballpark. Last night only 23,000. Of course, the threat of severe weather that didn't come around until close to midnight. And then Football Friday, which in this area, of course, is huge. A lot of football games, high school games rained out.
Double play ball. 1, 2. Nicely done. Around the horn it goes. Frazier to Phillips. Cavado hit into by Tyler Green. And the inning is over.
On Fox Sports Ohio, join us for Reds Live, the pregame edition. It's brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. In-depth features on the players. You'll hear from the manager and more, and the lineups before anyone else. It's Reds Live pregame. Jim Day with you just beside the Reds dugout, and we all know that Jay Bruce is a streaky hitter as number 32 steps into the box. Check out the last 6 games and the Reds run production and how much Jay Bruce has accounted for that run production. With a home run tonight, he scored or had a part in 11 of the last 16 runs that the Reds have scored. If they could only, boys, keep Jay Bruce in the groove going into October, the Reds might be in business.
Well, you're exactly right about that. And, you know, he's making a hard charge here for his first 100 RBI season. And really, at 33 home runs and with 23 games to go, including tonight, pretty good charge at 40 long ones. See how it turns out. He leads off here in the home 4th inning of a 2-1 game Reds. Launched one out near that Toyota sign in right center his first time. for number 33. 97 is what he was stuck at last year in RBIs. He couldn't quite get over the hump to get to 100. At 95 right now, he hits one right into the shift. Paredes will throw him out. Bruce is gone 4-3 and out number 1. Batter will be Todd Frazier. Frazier hit by a pitch his first time. That does count in terms of his on base streak. We talked about it last night. He had reached base going into last night's game in 28 in a row, either by a hit, a walk, or been hit by a pitch. Of course, last night in the game he was 1 for 4 with a single. Tonight hit by a pitch, so the on base streak now at 30 games, longest by a Reds player this year. $18 long ones, 62 runs batted in. In most estimations, he is the leading everyday player candidate for National League MVP, along with the lefty Wade Miley with the Diamondbacks. There are those who will put the Nationals' Bryce Harper in that loop. But there's no category when you compare the two where Harper has done a better job, maybe in stolen bases, than Frazier has. Frazier hanging in there at 2-2 with one man out here in the bottom of the fourth. Hannigan next.
You just wonder, you're thinking about that Rookie of the Year vote. Todd Frazier, Wade Miley, Bryce Harper, Zach Cozart. And it's voted on by the baseball writers. So you wonder if maybe those writers that are more in tune to a bigger market, like Washington, are going to forget more about what Zach Cozart, for instance, has meant to this ball club. After all, when you're the everyday shortstop on a pennant contending team or a pennant winning team, that has to carry some weight. Frazier's put up great numbers by kind of bouncing all over the place. So, will there be some voters that'll say, well, he's not even an everyday player. I mean, he filled in for Joey Votto. He fills in for Scott Rowland. He's had a couple of spots out in left field. He didn't even make the team coming out of spring training. How can we give him the Rookie of the Year award? I don't think any of that should have anything to do with it. But, I mean, as crazy as some of these baseball writers are when it comes to voting for Hall of Famers, I won't vote for a guy because he snubbed me in an interview one time.
Right.
Then, who knows? They're somewhat unpredictable. And I know I'm going to get a lot of Twitter hate mail over that comment, but that's the way it is.
Well, the fact of the matter is he will end up with well over 400 at bats on the year. Way up there and into the shallow right center. Paredes goes a long way out. Hauls it in for out number 2. Batter will be Hannigan. Reds fans, for a quick and delicious meal the whole family will enjoy. How about JTM's beef or chicken Philly steak kits? That's JTM. Hannigan bats with 2 out. But Norris, he's never won against the Reds. 0-2 in 6 career starts. ERA of 4.5. Chris talked about he hasn't won a game since May the 21st at home against Chicago. Only 2-10 with a terrible ERA on the road. He hasn't won a road game this year since the 11th of May in a 1-0 win at Pittsburgh.
Well, when you pitch for a team like the Astros, and they've been struggling historically. I mean, eventually it gets to into your mindset. You're just going out there thinking, instead of I want to win tonight, I just hope that I stay competitive tonight. The defense are playing behind me. I've got to pitch against the Central Division leading Reds, and their guy has to pitch against our guys, which half of them weren't even in the major leagues 2 months ago. Astros are 1-15 in his last 16 starts.
Tyler Green will field this ball, and the Reds go in order for the first time here this evening. We are through 4. Reds lead 2-1. Sports Ohio is brought to you by the JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For over 30 Toyota offers available now, visit buyatoyota.com, including mobile. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Nighttime upon us here at Great American Ballpark. 5th inning action. Reds leading 2-1, trying to get even in this series. They really haven't been producing much offense as of late. Holding on to a scant 1-run lead here.
That double play ball that ended the 4th inning, that 5-4-3 hit by Tyler Green with a couple of runners on base, not only ended the inning, but it also enabled Arroyo to face the pitcher here to start the 5th. That's always a great blessing for a pitcher when you face your opposing pitcher, because chances are you're getting him out, and when you do even get the first out of the inning, that statistically just big time reduces the chances of the other team scoring a run.
Join us tomorrow for a pregame at the Reds live set for Sunglass Sundays. 100 people will receive free sunglasses courtesy of Fox Sports Ohio and the Ohio Department of Public Safety. We'll remind you to put it down and don't text while driving. Top of the order now, and Paredes is 0 for 2. Hard to right, but Bruce is there. And there are quickly 2 men gone. Reds have only scored, we're talking about not much offensive production as of late. Going into tonight, 15 runs in their last 6 games. Under 3 runs per game.
9 runs in their last 4 games. So, I mean, and it's not like they're playing pitching-rich ball clubs either. I mean, they're getting shut down. Last night's starter, obviously, Lucas Harrell, the best that the Astros have. Bud Norris has pitched good ball games against them, but you know, when you're missing guys out of the lineup, you're just getting Votto back. He obviously doesn't have his stroke down. You miss Cozart. You're kind of massaging the lineup, putting Phillips back up there. Just not quite the flow that Dusty Baker hopes to see.
Meanwhile, Fernando Martinez has been on 3 times. A double in the first, a walk in the third, and a single here in the 5th brings Brett Wallace to the plate. Let's see if Arroyo attacks him as he did the first 2 times with late count breaking balls.
Well, it just seems like Brett Wallace is swinging harder and harder up there. That last pitch, I mean, he is so anxious to hit one of these slow curveballs that he couldn't wait, and he was all over that pitch and pulled it way foul. If he does lock into one, it's going a long way. But he hasn't come close yet.
Votto will get it and step on to retire the side. Votto smothered that ball. Wallace is gone. He's 0 for 3. Astros have left 1 in each of their first 5 innings in this game. The Cincinnati Reds with the MLB.com At-Bat 12 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows Mobile. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Simply text At-Bat to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. Joey Votto made a nice play on that ball hit by Brett Wallace to end the inning. Look at him smother this thing.
He's tightened up his defense as much as anybody that I've ever seen. Who, from the time he broke into the major leagues, I did not see him play minor league baseball, just a little bit in spring training until now.
Smart decision there by Dominguez. He let that ball roll, and it rolls foul.
Well, Wilson Valdez is just incredulous that ball did go foul, because when he popped that ball up and it went down the third baseline, look how far inside that ball lands, but it's got so much spin on it.
Valdez 0 for 1 tonight and only 1 for 9 during this homestand. Now he finds himself in the hole. Well, you take a look, Chris, at Bud Norris when he sets up looking in for the sign. We'll see that glove up in front of his face. Who does that remind you of when you watch him do this? Who does that look like right there?
Little Roger Clemens action.
Exactly,
huh?
Isn't it?
Kind of built like Roger Clemens. Big, strong, stocky guy. You know, we were down in Houston. There was a lot of talk about Clemens, who has made a couple of starts anyway for the Skeeters. Was that Sugarland Skeeters, the independent team ball down there and just outside of Houston? And I've not heard anything more about the Rocket coming back and pitching for the Astros, although there was some talk about it. The Astros had sent scouts out to watch him. Some of them came back favorably impressed.
Pretty good ride to center field off the bat of Valdez, but run down out there by Maxwell with the first out here in the bottom of the fifth. Yeah, Clemens did throw 4+ innings last night for Sugarland. His son, was it Cody? Caught him in that game.
Of course, Roger has previously, I don't know if he played with his son, but he worked out with him when Cody was a member of the Houston Astros organization right down the road here in Lexington, having played for the Lexington Legends.
I think he was on a rehab assignment for Lexington and did play with him. Yeah.
So, yeah, getting back to your point, he does look a little like the Rocket out there.
Of course, they never did play together. The last year that Clemens pitched for Houston was 06. Norris's rookie year was 09. But he has that same setup with the glove right in front of his face, as does the Rocket. Strike 3 called there. Strikeout of Arroyo is the third of the night for Norris.
That's the easy thing to copy. The glove in front of the face. It's after the ball leaves your hand. That's where the tough part begins and ends.
That is 8 in a row now by Norris since the home run ball by Phillips, and 11 of the last 12 since Frazier was hit by the pitch in the second inning. But the one that reached was this man, Phillips, whose home run has given the Reds a 2-1 lead in this one. We're in the bottom of the fifth. His first time, but it was caught out there. This one, look at it, bounce right off the top of the yellow line up into the moon deck. Homer number 16 for Phillips. Glad hands all around in that Reds dugout. Looking for victory number 84 tonight if they can get it. Nationals have 85. That's the most in the big leagues. Nationals have already won today at home 7-6 over Miami. Toward the middle and just knocking that ball down is Paredes. Infield single for Brandon Phillips, who's 2 for 3 tonight.
Hitting the ball the other way, 1 for a home run, 1 line drive to the right fielder, and that ball right back up the middle. Norris is a power pitcher, no doubt about that. Averages about 92 on his fastball. He'll follow through a lot towards first base, and he's not ready to field that ball coming back up the box.
So he'll work from the stretch here in the bottom of the fifth with HOU up there. Hit the ball hard into centers last time. A ball caught by Justin Maxwell. Phillips is on the move. The throw is not in time and then dropped by the second baseman Paredes. That looked like it had a little tail on it going away from the bag.
Yeah, it did, and I'm not really sure if that would have been an out call at second base either way. Brandon kind of got off first base, sauntered off first, did not give anybody the idea he was going at all. Now, they would have rung him up probably had he been able to hold on to the baseball. Small details.
Never really had possession of that thing. It was right on the edge of his glove like that proverbial snow cone. Now Phillips in scoring position with 2 out.
Well, Paredes is at second because Altuve couldn't answer the bell after pulling an abdominal muscle. He was in right field. They're trying to get Paredes to be an outfielder, and they're going to put him back into the infield tonight. See if the Reds can't take advantage of that one.
He'll get a look here now at a 3-1 pitch. He's hitting very well with runners in scoring position this year overall at 308, but lately been doing a very good job, even better than that, up near 350. Now a full count. Norris approaching 75. He's now at 73 pitches thrown in this game. They'll appeal to first. HOU tried to get out of the way more than anything else. Had the bat come through the zone. He strikes out. That puts an end to the Reds' 5th inning. We'll advance to number 6. Here's another look at HOU and that swing.
I don't get this call at all. That's a swing.
Ohio will break it all down for you with interviews from Dusty Baker and Reds players. That's Reds Live postgame, brought to you by Kings Honda in the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. All right, Chris, you didn't like that strike call there of Heisey at the end of that 5th inning.
Well, I didn't. You know, there's no reference to the words check swing in the rule book. And the way an umpire, and this is a very tough call for an umpire, maybe the toughest call there is, consistently made, is that did he attempt to swing at the pitch? And I don't know, he's looking into the other dugout by the time he's trying to get out of the way of that baseball.
So you discount completely that they would maybe say the bat came flying through the strike zone even though it was on his shoulder.
It doesn't matter if the bat crosses a certain plane or if the batter breaks his wrist or anything else. You hear all these amateur umpires tell you all these different rules. Did he attempt to make contact with the baseball with a swing is the way you interpret that. I think he started to, and then just simply try to get out of the way. And the way that pitch was, his body position was, that wouldn't constitute a swing on my part. And believe me, the pitchers union
is hating you right now.
Normally likes to get as many strikes as possible.
They're putting a letter together to send to you right now. You're going to be called on the carpet for that tomorrow. Castro bats now with 1 out.
Well, you know, we did a tech talk not too long ago with Ted Barrett, very fine major league umpire, been around a long time, and he explained it really about as well as anybody ever can. And we'll get right to Ted after the pitch and have him maybe solve some of the mystery about that quote unquote check swing rule.
That'd be great.
Ted?
A lot of people, I hear them say, oh, he broke his wrist, he went past the midpoint, he went past the front of the plate. For me, I'm just looking to see if you offered it the pitch or not. And so one of the things that makes it so difficult is there are no things written in stone like that. And so it is the umpire's judgment.
There it is. And that's why most of the time the home plate umpire defers to their umpire on the base pass. Right-handed hitter, you go to first base to see if he had a better look than the home plate umpire.
So there's no rule to go to, as he said. It's just in the umpire's judgment. Yeah. And they appealed down to first to Field and Culbreth, who said yes. In my judgment, that's a strike.
You know, on that same line of thought, I thought it was fascinating years ago. I was talking to Ken Griffey Jr. as to why he used certain bats, and he said that he would use a black colored bat, just the way that Justin Maxwell is using one here tonight, because it's harder for that third base umpire to determine whether he made an attempt or not, because it would just be harder to see the bat than it would be if you carried up a white bat or a multicolored bat, you know, white on the bottom and stained brown on top. I didn't know if there's anything to that or not, but those hitters are always trying to get the advantage somewhere. Of course, he didn't need the advantage, for goodness sakes.
Right.
Swing in the eye he had.
Walk given up here to Castro by Arroyo, his second of the night. One of the better pitchers in the big leagues this year, Bronson Arroyo, in terms of walks per 9 inning, averaging only about 1.5 per game. That's his second tonight. So the tying run on with an out. J.D. Martinez, who's been on twice, a hit, reached on an error his first time, stands in there. Castro does not have a stolen base attempt on the year. And Bronson has thrown over there twice, being held by Votto.
Boy, great sequence of pitches back to back right there. Fastball, backdoor fastball, came right back and hit the outside corner about 87, 88 miles an hour. Then he throws a changeup down right around the knees, right over the middle of the plate, and Martinez is way out in front. I dropped the old Lord Charles on him. Here it comes. Oh, he hung it.
Got away with it. Now it's 0-2.
He'll throw him a better one here.
Martinez has done a decent job against the Reds this year. 10 hits and a plus 300 average against Cincinnati pitching.
When you throw a really good curveball, it's tough to come back and throw a better one. But if you throw a bad one, there's always room for improvement. I would suggest him dropping another one right here. Hannigan wants a fastball.
Bronson will throw now his 80th pitch of the night. It'll come up to J.D. Martinez with one man out. 2-1 Reds lead here in the 6th. Will it stay up for Heisey? It will not. He jives for that ball. They'll throw it in, and that's a base hit for J.D. Martinez. So he's 2 for 3, been on 3 times. Boy, Heisey has gotten caught in so many situations like that lately.
Well, the line drives right at you. Outfielders will tell you that those are the hardest ones to judge, because the last thing you want to do is run in on one and have the ball go over your head. But that ball just dives right in front of him. It gets in front of him, and he's able to smother with his glove, keep it from going anywhere.
That's one of those right there that, had he not blocked that ball, it was hit so hard it was going to go a long way. More likely than not would have scored Castro and tied this game. So good job by Heisey to keep it in front. Now it's Dominguez.
Checking the end of his bat. That ball was a slow curveball. He got way out on the Q-tip.
Dominguez not really been a power hitter this year. Only 9 home runs in AAA, but a good RBI man. 69 between AAA New Orleans, AAA Oklahoma City. Smash to short. There's 1. There's 2. Second of the night turned by Cincinnati. Both have come at very opportune times. 6-4-3. Inning is over. Our AT&T trivia question of the night. On this date in 1985, that's September the 8th, 85, Pete Rose tied Cobb with 4,191 hits. Where did it happen? Bonus points, of course, if you can name the pitcher. And I bet there are Reds fans out there all over the place saying, I know it, and I know it. We'll get to it in the not too distant future. Back with the answer. Jeff to my left, our statistician tonight, says, oh yeah, I know the answer to that. High and deep to right by Joey Votto, diving out there and making the catch in right is Fernando Martinez. Or did he not? Okay, Votto's going to be at second base. My mistake. Fernandez dove for that ball, and he did not come up with it. That's going to be a ground rule double for Joey Votto.
Well, the way Martinez went after this ball, I'm wondering maybe this was a knuckleball out there. No, we see some spin on the baseball. But that ball hit the warning track and popped right into the stands. I can see why you missed that, but hey. Martinez makes a nice effort, a double by Votto. His first extra base hit since coming back off the DL. A little bit more oomph and he can punch it on out of here.
37th double of the year for Votto. Remember, before he went on the DL, he was in line to break not only the Reds' all-time doubles record, but the National League record for doubles in a season. My apologies on that. A two-base hit for Votto is for the Reds, hit number 5.
Well, right now the Reds are following the same formula they've had done so many times this year. You know, you keep it close against the opposing right-handed starter, and you beat up on them a little bit later in the ball game. Then they go to the bullpen, then you waylay on them. But the offense really hasn't had a whole lot to crow about. They've only got 5 hits on the night. The Astros about hit them. First 2 of the 5 hits have been home runs, and now that extra base hit double by Votto. Ryan Ludwig can cure a lot of ills with a long ball right here.
Right-hander Fernando Rodriguez throwing in the Astros pen. There he is. Ludwig has twice hit the ball in the air. Popped to second, flied to right. Boy, that's close, but just foul past third. Gary Cederstrom, the crew chief, third base umpire, right on top of it.
And he got the breaking ball that he was looking for in his last pitch. Took a fastball on a 2-1 count right down the middle, and that time just got out ahead of a slider.
But Dominguez was not going to come up with it.
And you wonder now whether Bud Norris is going to go back to that slider, maybe try to bury it down a little bit more, or try to sneak a fastball by Ryan Ludwig. Shaking off Jason Castro to go with his own pitch.
Into left and run down by the left fielder. They'll throw behind Votto, but Joey scampers back in time.
It was the slider.
Making a bid for a hit in the left, but J.D. Martinez a good jump on that ball for out number 1.
I can't say it was a bad at bat by Ludwig, because he had a couple of good swings, but it was a non-productive at bat because nobody out, runner on second. You get the runner to third base, and it's an easy RBI situation for Jay Bruce, but they're not going to pitch to him here. They'll instead set up a double play ball.
This will be the first walk of the night issued by Norris. It comes as the intentional pass. So Todd Frazier, been a little slow with the RBIs as of late, will have the chance with 2 on and 1 out. No RBIs in his last 8 games for Frazier.
You know, you think under most circumstances this is a good strategy. I mean, it's a good strategy anyway, because Jay Bruce is one of the hottest hitters on the planet right now. But Bud Norris is not exactly a ground ball machine. In fact, he's a very prolific fly ball pitcher all year long, and he's thrown 150 innings now. He's only thrown 6 ground ball double plays up. So when you've had as many chances as Bud Norris has, he gives up a hit an inning, and he's walked about 57 to 58 batters. So he's had a lot of base runners, but he just doesn't get very many ground balls.
Well, the crowd gets jazzed up for Todd Frazier. 62 runs batted in on the year. 270 hitter with runners in scoring position in 2012. Votto leads away at second. Bruce from first. Frazier tonight hit by a pitch and popped up. So in the series, he's 1 for 5 during the homestand, 3 out of 16. Reds trying to build on a 2-1 lead here in the bottom of the 6th. Norris's spot, by the way, due up second in the top of the 7th inning, so this figures to be it for him. Frazier will get a good look at a 2-0 pitch.
Yeah, he missed with 2 breaking balls right now. So Bud Norris has got a decision to make. You throw him another one here, maybe make a good one, or you throw a good fastball hit or a fastball in a hitter's count.
Well, he got the fastball, but outside, and now it's 3-0. Hannigan, a very good contact hitter, waits next.
Well, if he wants to save those earned runs out there, he may want to take care of this inning himself. A 3-0 slider, and he got the green light and hacked at it. You love the way Frazier laughs at himself, though, don't you? I mean, take a hack like that on a 3-0 count.
It's almost to this to say he knows that people are going, what is he doing up
exactly
there?
But you know what? In the same at bat, he can hit one about 450.
Let's see if he does it right here. 3-1.
So you finally begin to look breaking ball, and what does he do? Throw you a fastball.
And he'd probably like to see that one again, wouldn't he?
He might.
So we've gone from 3-0 to 3-2. Lays off that breaking ball for ball 4.
Well, how about a pitch-by-pitch look at this at-bat brought to you by Mazda? We do it every night, and we'll do it this time. Todd Frazier and Bud Norris. Now, Norris is going to throw a couple of breaking balls first. He goes 3-0, finally throws a fastball there to run a 3-0. Then a 3-0 off-speed pitch. Throws a fastball in there on a 3-1 count. Frazier misses. It goes right back with the slider, thinking Frazier may swing over the top of that one, but Todd wasn't biting. Our Mazda pitch by pitch, a full count walk that loads the bases.
Hannigan in the game is lined out and grounded out. He's 0 for 2. Couple of hits career wise against Norris. 2 for 8 coming into this game. So 2 for 10 now. Big part of this contest right here. Bases loaded. One out. Bottom of the sixth. A little serve out into right is a base hit for Hannigan. A run will score Joey Votto, and the Reds build on their lead. It's now 3-1. th RBI of the year for Hannigan as Votto crosses the plate.
Now, they don't ask you where you hit him or how hard you hit him. They just ask you how many hits you got. And in this case, Ryan Hannigan right out of the end of the bat. You described it perfectly, Jim Kelch, when he said served it in out there. It was like a second service, and he drops it into right field. He'll take it for the RBI, and that'll chase the Astros starter.
93 pitches in the game for Bud Norris, and he is finished for the night. He exits toward the third base dugout. The right-hander Fernando Rodriguez has been throwing in the bullpen. Astros make a pitching change. It's our Skyline Chili calling to the bullpen. Welcome, Reds fans from Heritage at Miami Bluffs as tonight's special guests on the Fan Express to Reds Country. If you'd like more information about how you and your group can get on the Fox Sports Ohio Fan Express to Reds Country, call 513-765-7600 or visit Reds.com/Fan Express. Well, Bud Norris had made two very good starts against the Reds this year, so much so that he had an ERA of under 1 against Cincinnati this year. Coming into tonight's game, exits having given up so far, Chris, 3 runs.
And they'll bring in an often used pitcher, Fernando Rodriguez, 28-year-old, in for game number 63. A 1-9 record, inflated earned run average. And he inherits the bases loaded. Good chance right here for the Reds to pay a little add-on with a key base hit.
Valdez hit the ball very well his last time up. Deep center, run down out there by Maxwell. Is at the plate with the bases loaded, 1 out.
Another one of those balls by Wilson Valdez would bring a run in.
Eighth time that Fernando Rodriguez has faced the Reds this year. Only 6 innings worth of work. And now he has Valdez down 2 strikes. Reds, meanwhile, have action in their bullpen. Logan Ondrusek, even though Arroyo is on deck. Trying to take advantage of this bases loaded situation. Hannigan has driven in 1, giving him his 20th RBI. Valdez trying to add to that.
I would not be one bit surprised to see Dusty Baker pinch hit for Bronson Arroyo right here. You know, he talked earlier before the ball game about trying to get all of his players, including pitchers, a little bit of a breather. This might be an opportunity to get Andrusik into the ball game, bring a fresh arm in, and send a pinch hitter up there that may get some damage done.
Bud Norris, the Astros starter, goes 5 1/3, 3 runs so far. Runners on, all belong to him. 6 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. That's 2 pitches in a row that Valdez has hung in there against sharp breaking stuff. So Bud Norris cannot be the winner in this game, meaning that stretch of games for him will go to 17 since he last won on the 21st of May. 17 straight starts without a win. And Chris Volstad got to what, 23 before he finally picked up a win for the Cubs. Now Norris is at 17. Andrusik continues to throw in the Reds' pen. Arroyo has thrown 82 pitches tonight through 6. Well, he is battling up there.
Well, he is hanging in front Fernandez right now. I mean, Rodriguez, that is. Fernando Rodriguez is throwing about everything he can up there. He really is a 2-pitch pitcher. He throws a fastball, low 90s, got that overhand curveball. Now they're going to converse and see, all right, what are we going to do right here? Got bases loaded. Don't want to go 3-2 count. He's got a lot of strikeouts. He has more strikeouts than innings pitched. I imagine he's going to go right back to that curveball.
8th pitch now, this at bat. Fernando Rodriguez, Wilson Valdez. Game of the fastball.
What do I know? Probably would have resulted in the same anyway, a foul ball.
Boy, Rodriguez has got to be thinking, what kind of pitch do I have to throw up there to this guy?
It's one thing having it at bat like this against a hitter that just keeps fouling them off one after another, but it's a completely different matter when you've got the bases loaded. Wasn't too long ago we saw Scott Rowland with a 15 pitch at bat. Longest at bat by a Reds hitter since Juan Samuel did it.
It was in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Broken bat bouncer, bobbled, thrown away. Bruce scores, ball into the dugout. Frazier will score. Over to third base goes Hannigan. That ball went about 45 feet, but the end result of it, 2 runs cross the plate for the Reds.
Well, after that pesky at bat, you got to figure something weird was going to happen. This ball just ties up Wilson Valdez. Here comes Fernando Rodriguez, ill-advised to make that throw right there. He's going to try to get something out of nothing. Charging hard, misses it the first time, throws it offline. It's going to end up in the camera well. And a couple of runs come in. So the Reds break it open with a 3 spot. With one ball that has left the infield, that was a double by Votto. Now Ryan Hannigan's dumped it into right field. That'll keep Arroyo in the ball game.
Infield comes in, and the Astros expect a squeeze there. They pitch out. Ruling on that ball is a fielder's choice off the bat of Valdez, and 1 run batted in. Then an error on the pitcher Rodriguez that allows Frazier to score. In a 3-run inning, it's 5-1 Cincinnati here in the bottom of the 6th.
You know, you watch these Astros playing up, and it's no wonder why their managers have short shelf life.
They're the youngest team in the big leagues. Their active roster 26.2 years old. A lot of players that folks have never heard of, that's for sure. Still only 1 out. Arroyo in this game has struck out twice. Check swing, and yes, says Lance Barksdale. Arroyo offered at that. That's a strikeout, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. Red spotted this Astros team a run in the top of the 1st. Has since scored 5 unanswered. Now the infield will move back to normal depth, and Brandon Phillips has 2 hits, including a home run tonight. Comes up there. 2nd and 3rd, 2 out. Big RBI chance for the leader in the big leagues in RBIs by a second baseman. Now it's 72. Xavier Cedeno, a lefty, now up and throwing in the Astros bullpen. You could hear the ball hit the bat there. That thing came riding up and in on Brandon.
You know, from a pitcher standpoint, that's about as perfect a pitch as you can make.
I guess you hope that thing rolls right out in front of the plate in the dirt.
Yeah, that would even be more perfect. But you get a guy off the dish anyway, you come up and in on him, he check swings, and he fouls it off.
Other than Votto, Phillips is the best hitter on this team with runners in scoring position. He starts this game at .322. Five-1 Reds now here in the bottom of number 6. Easy on deck. Hannigan at 3rd. Valdez out at 2nd. Back to that ball hit by Valdez. They have now ruled that an infield single by Wilson Valdez and an RBI, and then a throwing error by the pitcher Rodriguez. So 7 hits now in the game for the Reds.
3 in this inning. All these runs charged, of course, to the starter, Bud Norris. And now a full count to Phillips. Phillips draws the walk, and so he's on for the 3rd time in this game. A homer, a single, now a walk. 3 walks in the inning, although one was intentional by Houston pitching. And once again, the bases are loaded. Heisey tonight 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. One for 5 this year with the bases loaded, Chris Heisey. Finds himself quickly in the hole, 2 strikes. Well, this has been a nice inning for the Reds, but this could be a huge inning if he can come up with something right here. Ninth man to come to the plate here in the home 6th. And he got him on 3 pitches. A strikeout of Heisey. They step on the plate as the ball was dropped by the catcher Castro, and the Reds settle for 3. They also leave them loaded, but lead 5-1 after 6. Reds at the ballpark on Wednesday, September the 12th for Senior Day, presented by Tri-State Centers for Sight. Reds fans 60 and older can purchase tickets at half price in advance of game day. Plus, each ticket includes free admission on September the 12th to the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, thanks to Humana. For tickets to see the Reds take on the Pittsburgh Pirates, visit Reds.com today. Bronson Arroyo hit for himself. Struck out in the bottom of the 6th, goes back to the hill, inning number 7. Now the owner of a 4-run, 5-1 lead. Here's his line. But Norris ended up giving up 5 runs, all earned due to that walk to Phillips. 6 hits and 5 1/3. And Arroyo gets the 8-hitter Green. Then the pitcher spot, and Jordan Schaefer is out of the dugout and on deck to bat. Then the top of the order. Green in the game is 1 for 2. Into the first of the 2 double plays the Reds have turned tonight. That goes flying. Ball went into the glove of Hannigan. Reds now have action in the bullpen. Sean Marshall is throwing. Here's Schaefer waiting on deck. And Green taken care of. Out number 1. Come for the Reds. Stay for more fun. Experience 3 museums in one building. Cincinnati Museum Center. Make it a weekend getaway. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. Now Jordan Schaefer will bat for Fernando Rodriguez. Astros will employ a 3rd pitcher come the bottom of the 7th. Billy Schaefer, since being activated from the disabled list on September the 1st, has only appeared as a pinch runner or a pinch hitter. He was on the DL most of August with left shoulder separation. .273 average as a pinch hitter, 3 for 11. Schaefer on the year hitting .214 with 4 home runs.
Well, Schaefer came over from the Braves in that trade last year, right before the trading deadline, 2011 I'm talking about, for Michael Bourne. Bourne went to the Braves, worked out very well. Schaefer, the major league part of that trade, hasn't worked out all that well yet for the Astros, but they did get a young pitcher named Brett Oberholzer in that they are very high on, and there was some speculation that they'd be bringing him up this year.
There's Xavier Cedeno, the left-hander, who will be the new Astros pitcher come the bottom of the 7th.
Made his night, didn't it?
As well it should. The ultimate souvenir. Baseball from a big league game. Schaefer pops it up. And Valdez handles it for out number 2. Well, tomorrow the regular season begins with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, Michael Vick and the Eagles head to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Then, in America's Game of the Week, Frank Gore and the 49ers battle Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at Lambeau Field. Coverage begins with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at noon Eastern. Paredes hits it hard the other way, chased by Ludwig and right in front of the wall. He'll haul it in. That's the first 1-2-3 inning of the night for Bronson Arroyo. Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the nation, again in the U.S. News and World Report's 2012 Best Children's Hospitals, and by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado and your tri-state Chevy dealers. Ballpark from way up ahead. That's a beautiful shot right there, right over the ballpark. Down on the field, the Reds lead 5-1 over these Houston Astros. Xavier Cedeno, who gave up last Sunday the 3-run homer to Jay Bruce. Part of that 5-run 8th inning, becomes the 3rd Astros pitcher.
Well, he'll come in because you're facing the left-handed part of the lineup. If there is such a thing for the Reds, you've got only 2 in the lineup. Votto and Bruce, obviously separated by Ryan Ludwig.
Votto 2 out of 3. That ground rule double his last time. This is something that absolutely does not bother Joey Votto at all, does it? Facing lefties.
And the reason why is because Joey Votto has learned from an early age that if you're going to hit left-handed pitching as a left-handed hitter, you have to be committed to hitting the breaking ball, because the majority of those left-handed relievers that are specialists are going to come on with that breaking ball. That's their main pitch.
don't quite put the shift on the infield when Votto bats against a lefty as they do against the right-hander. Just cheating up the middle slightly there is Tyler Green. Dominguez off the bag and line at third.
Yeah, that's because you've got that breaking ball that moves away from a lefty. He's not as likely to pull that.
Now he's hit. Second red to be hit tonight. But Norris hit Frazier back in the second, and Votto is plunked here. And now Miguel Cairo comes out of the Reds dugout, and he will pinch run for Joey Votto. Jose Valdez is now up and throwing in the Houston bullpen. He's a right-hander. Leadoff man on, bottom of the seventh. There's Valdez. Reds leading 5-1. Trying to take advantage of a 4-1 Milwaukee lead at St. Louis. That game now in the seventh inning. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, has come back to tie the Cubs 3-3 in the eighth. PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Reds started the day with a magic number to win the Central of 16 over the Cardinals. Any combination Reds wins, Pirate losses equaling 16. Pardon me, St. Louis losses equaling 16. Reds will win the NL Central for the second time in 3 years. So even though they lost here last night, that Cardinal loss lowered the number. Cardinals lose tonight, Reds win, they can get a double whammy on it. Joey and Scott Rowland talking there in the Reds dugout. Wallace calling for this. That's the first out of the seventh. Ludwig tonight 0 for 4. The batter will be Jay Bruce. Well, it was interesting last week down in Houston. Xavier Cedeno was brought in on Saturday to face Jay Bruce to start the ninth inning with a game tied 1-1, and he struck him out. Houston went on to win that game 2-1. Cedeno was brought in the eighth inning. Then on Sunday, with 2 on and 1 out to face Bruce, first pitch he saw, 3-run homer.
Now that first pitch was a fastball, I believe, if I remember correct, and it was hanging right there for him, and that's why you see that first pitch that he throws to Jay Bruce in this at bat. Take another look, and it was indeed a get-ahead fastball, and Jay Bruce unjammed him way back there.
Second deck shot down at Minute Maid. That made it 3-3. Reds were on to win that game 5-3.
Didn't like that call.
That's another one of those strike calls from Lance Barksdale that you were pointing out earlier. Maybe he didn't make in years past, and now he does. Expanded strike zone. Jay tonight 1 for 2 with a walk.
I know one night that Lance Barksdale was behind the plate, he was ringing up those hitters. Back in 2001, the night that Reds went to Arizona to face Randy Johnson, he was behind the plate when Johnson struck out 20 Reds. His right arm was tired that night.
His right and Johnson's left. Interesting to hear Bruce talk recently about this hot spell, Chris, that he is going through. He said, yeah, when he was not hitting the ball well, there are a lot of doubts creeping in. He's humbled by what is happening to him now.
Well, you know what? I think that is exactly what's going to be modified a little bit as he gets older and more mature, has more confidence in himself. Those rough spots are going to end up being shorter and shorter because he won't let it affect his psyche as much. He won't lose his confidence. I mean, he's still a young player making his way through the major leagues, and a lot is expected of Jay Bruce. He's got tons of talent. He's become one of the faces of the organization, given a long-term contract.
No question about it.
And sometimes you try to live up to it too much. I think the more he relaxes, the better he will be.
Runner going on 2-2, a swing and a miss. Throw down is late. Miguel Cairo. Cairo gets the stolen base. His 4th of the year.
Yeah, they picked a good pitch to go on right there because it was a slow breaking ball. Jay Bruce swings over the top. This is a good pitch right here. Over the left-hander on the mound. Cedeno's more worried about the hitter than he is the runner, and he got a big jump that time.
Tony DeFrancisco out to the mound. Gotten what he wants out of the left-hander Cedeno. Todd Frazier will be the batter, and the Astros make a pitching change. Trivia question and its answer. On this date in '85, Pete Rose tied Ty Cobb with his 4,191st hit. Where did it happen? Of course, Wrigley Field and Reggie Patterson. You were there for that, Chris.
Was not there for that, but
you were not.
Well, looking on a replay, it looks like Pete almost stepped on the plate.
Yeah. September 8th, 1985, and that scene right there says it all. Boy, a huge,
that's a lot of hits, man. That is a lot of hits.
Mentioned the other day, Jimmy Rollins picked up his 2,000th hit as a member of the Phillies here in this ballpark on Wednesday. He's only 2,000 plus behind Pete.
Yeah, come back another 20 years, Jimmy.
Look at that. Of course, he steps on that plate, hits that ball fair. He's out.
You step on that plate and make contact, you're out.
Looked like his toe was was over the plate, but not on it. All right, the pitcher here is Jose Valdez, 4th pitcher used by the Astros. Valdez was a closer down at Oklahoma City this year for the Astros AAA club. 21 saves, 46 games overall, and a 4.95 ERA. Frazier golfs this ball to the left, but it's handled out there by J.D. Martinez. So the Reds strand a runner, but take a 5-1 lead into the 8th. Brandon Phillips, a big part of the game this far tonight, an RBI in third on that home run ball. They gave the Reds a 2-1 lead. They now lead 5-1, and they'll turn things over pitching wise to the lefty Sean Marshall.
Well, big left-hander coming in to pitch the 8th inning. He's got Fernando Martinez, Brett Wallace, and Justin Maxwell to handle. The Reds punching those 3 runs across a couple of innings ago, been able to get a lead right here. And when you turn it over normally to this bullpen, it is an airtight bullpen. Don't know if you're going to see Aroldis Chapman tonight, but in this inning we'll see Cairo at first and Sean Marshall on the mound. 63rd game for Marshall, 52 innings overall, and he, like a lot of pitchers on this Red staff, more than 1 strikeout per inning.
Remember, he came on in the 7th inning last night, retired Jimmy Paredes, and then stayed in the game. Was able to get the first out of the 8th on a pop-up off the bat of Brett Wallace. He'll get Martinez here, then Wallace, then Justin Maxwell. He takes care of the leadoff hitter in a hurry. Fernandez down on strikes.
Now Marshall, we've talked about a lot. He's got a couple of different breaking balls. One's a curveball. That's the curveball variety. If it comes in there in the 70-mile-an-hour range, between 75 and 80. The slider he throws, a little tighter break, throws it in the 80s. And his fastball can reach 93, 94 on a real good night. Normally around 90 to 92. So with Bill Bray on the disabled list, Sean Marshall's really the only left-hander down there. Now they did have a call up, Tony Cingrani, left-hander down there. So you got to figure with only one left in the bullpen, you're not really sure when to use that guy sometimes. Do you use him early in the game when you need to get out of the, say, the 5th or 6th inning because the starter is faltering? Or do you wait him until later in the game and pitch him in the 7th or the 8th? That's, of course, with Bill Bragg on the disabled list and probably not coming back this year.
Yeah, they've said they've shut him down. He's had various injuries. It started really with that groin injury in the spring. He's had back issues. He's had shoulder issues. He's had knee issues. Brian Price has said that he will not be pitching again for the Reds in 2012. But now 2 out. Justin Maxwell bats. Bronson Arroyo, 7 innings, 1 run, 7 hit baseball, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, in line for his 12th win. If he can get it, his 5th in a row, the Reds can hang on. And his 9th in his last 11 starts.
Well, the loss last night was a stunner. I mean, anytime Aroldis Chapman gives up runs, but when you start really looking at the numbers and how the Reds have done on certain nights against certain teams, when Arroyo pitches, for instance, Reds came into this ball game 9 wins, 2 losses in their last 11 starts by Arroyo against the Astros. Dusty Baker's team especially likes the second game of a series more than anything. I mean, he is 26-5 in the second game of a series.
That's breaking it down right there.
That's breaking it down, and I'm not sure who and why anybody does that, but this is the second game of the series, and that number looks like it's going to hold up pretty good and move to 27-5.
And again, if it does, then you set yourself up with your #1 guy, Johnny Cueto, going tomorrow afternoon.
Sure do.
And even though he suffered his first loss in day games this year on Monday, Labor Day against Philly, you feel pretty darn good about him coming back tomorrow.
Especially against Edgar Gonzalez. Tell you more about him tomorrow.
It's a 1:10 game here at the ballpark tomorrow.
If he shows up.
12:30 with Reds Live. I think he'll be here. Three-run night last night. Houston won 5-3. Reds lead tonight 5-1. 2 out, top of the 8th. Cubs have gone back on top at Pittsburgh 4-3, batting in the 9th. Milwaukee up 4-2, 8th inning at St. Louis. And ball 4 to Justin Maxwell. So a 2-out walk is the 3rd walk issued by Reds pitching tonight. Here's the catcher, Jason Castro. J.J. Hoover up and throwing in the Reds bullpen. Castro is in a soft liner out to left, fly to center and walk. Been a Red killer this year. Came into this game with a .381 average against the Reds. 2012. But 0 for 2 tonight. Froze him on that breaking ball. 1-2. Big crowd here tonight of 35,018. 35,018 here at Great American Ballpark on this Saturday night. Some empty seats, but not many on this Saturday evening. Enjoying Reds baseball. This for the Reds, their 71st home game of the year. 43-27 their record at home. That number, 43 wins at home, the same as the Washington Nationals and the Texas Rangers. Washington, of course, won today, so that gives them 44. So the Reds would equal them with a win here. Runner going, and Phillips goes out. The hitter Castro putting an end to the top of the 8th. One more left for Houston. Reds coming up, bottom of the 8th. The game back in the 3rd inning. Score was tied at 1. Brandon Phillips goes the other way. Home run number 16. It bounces right off the top of the wall into the moon deck. Reds took a 2-1 lead on that long ball. Now lead 5-1. That's our John Merrill hot dog play of the game.
I'll tell you what, when Brandon Phillips starts slicing the ball the other way like that and using the entire field, and I imagine we'll see more and more of that in the leadoff spot. We'll see him run a little bit. He's had a whale of a night tonight.
New right fielder Brandon Barnes. He pinch hit for Martinez in the top of the 8th. Stays in the game. Jose Valdez back to the mound. He retired Frazier to end the 7th inning. Stays in there and gets Hannigan, Valdez, and then the pitcher spot here in the 8th. That little flare single into right field with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 6th inning. Produced Votto and made it 3-1 Reds at the time. His 20th RBI of the year. So he's 1 for 3 tonight. Jonathan Broxton now throwing in the Reds pen. Broxton did throw in the game last night, faced 3 batters, retired 2 of them. Two close pitches there, both going Hannigan's way. The Reds catcher draws a leadoff walk.
Valdez really has quite a follow through at the very end, doesn't he? A little flair to that follow through as he falls off towards the first base side. His direction with his left foot as he goes towards the mound, he's wide open. You don't see too many pitchers that do that. He actually steps more towards first base than he does third base. Most pitchers, they do something wrong, it'll be across his body, but he really falls off the first and has a little flair at the end.
Here's Wilson Valdez. He had that RBI 45-foot roller between the third base line and the mound. It's part of that 3-run 6th inning. Here's what we're talking about, Chris.
Watch him at the very end right here. A little wide open stride and little woo. Looking for a couple extra style points.
Astros get 1, and that is all they will get as Valdez beats the relay throw to first base. So Green to Paredes and the force out on Hannigan. Now the Reds will send up Henry Rodriguez to pinch hit for Wilson Valdez. Pardon me, he'll bat for Sean Marshall. My mistake. So 1 inning for Sean Marshall, a walk, a strikeout. Now Henry Rodriguez, who played at both AA Pensacola, AAA Louisville this year, hits for Marshall.
Young man was a good looking hitter to a lot of people who watch the Reds in spring training. In fact, there was some talk that had Henry Rodriguez been healthy the first time the Reds went down there and they wanted an extra player. They had Willie Harris on the ball club, and Willie didn't work out all that well, so they were looking for somebody else. They ended up signing Mike Costanzo out of an independent league. He was down in AAA. They called him up. But had Rodriguez been healthy, there was speculation that he would have come right out of AA. That's how polished a hitter he was down in Goodyear, Arizona during the month of March.
He spent some time on the disabled list this year. In fact, just under 2 months worth with a broken left thumb. Tore it up down there at Pensacola to the tune of 348 in 33 games. Only 244 in 51 games at Louisville. Made his big league debut a week ago tomorrow, last Sunday down in Houston, and struck out. And he's 0 for 2 with the Reds now, having struck out his last time looking in the Philly series. Only 22 years old, Henry Rodriguez. Boy, in spring training, Ken Griffey Sr. was one of the main proponents of this guy, wasn't he, Henry Rodriguez? And a lot of positive things to say about this young man, switch hitter from Venezuela. Jonathan Broxton continuing to ready himself in the Reds bullpen. They'll take no less than a 4-run 5-1 lead into the top of the ninth. Runner going from first, Valdez. That ball chased in foul ground over there by Dominguez. Rodriguez down 1-2. Starters, the pitchers of record in this game. Bronson Arroyo on the Red side. Bud Norris on the Astros side. Sean Marshall just completed his innings worth of work. 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Talking it over with Brian Price. Henry Rodriguez considered the 15th best prospect in the Reds organization. And even though he played mostly second base in 2011 out in Bakersfield, he played mostly third base this year at both Pensacola and Louisville. And there's his first big league hit. He went down to get that ball, hit it hard into right. They're going to throw to third and get an out. That'll be the second out of the inning as Valdez tried to go from first to third on that hard hit ball into right field. But congratulations now to the 22-year-old Henry Rodriguez, his first big league hit.
What a good at bat by Henry Rodriguez. He fouled off a couple of very tough pitches, flipping them the other way to stay alive in the at bat. There's the baseball. That'll be taken care of by the wily veteran Miguel Cairo right there. He faked out everybody there that when he thought he was going to throw that ball into the stands. He's got a good solid swing, as I said early on. He goes right down there to get that pitch and finds a hole on the right side. And hopefully he'll have many more of those before his career is over.
He's perched over there at first base. Congratulations to Henry Rodriguez. Brandon Phillips now 2 for 3 tonight with a walk. So of the 3 young men who were called up after the conclusion of the AAA season, Rodriguez, Dennis Phipps, Didi Gregorius, one of them now has accomplished their first big league hit. Now we had to go about getting those other 2 their first. Gregorius, the only one of the 3 that's made a start. He started at shortstop the other day in the Philly series on Wednesday. Could see him tomorrow. Cozart, according to Paul Lessard, listed as day-to-day with strained left oblique.
That's a good point. I wouldn't be surprised to see him tomorrow, though you like to get Wilson Valdez some playing time, keep those extra guys sharp that you expect to see on the postseason roster. But there's Zach Cozart. He'll be tired of sitting by the time his injury's ready to go. You hope it's not nearly as severe as the one that sidelined Drew Stubbs for 20 days.
Yeah.
That was a very severe one.
There's Drew Stubbs. He last played in the second game of that Philly series on Tuesday. As he waits on deck, he'd like to get one last crack, keeping that hitting streak alive, which he entered tonight with a 7-gamer. Phillips hit by a pitch his last time. Pardon me, he walked his last time. My mistake.
He nearly got hit by a pitch in the first pitch of the at bat.
Yeah.
Like he thought he was hit. He's been on base 4 times. That's what a leadoff hitter ought to do.
That sends Henry Rodriguez down to second. 2 walks in the inning now by Valdez. So Heisey will get the chance here to extend that 7-game hitting streak. Chris tonight has struck out, lined out, struck out 2 more times. So 3 Ks tonight for Chris Heisey. Five-1 Reds lead, bottom of the 8th. In the Astro 9th, they'll have J.D. Martinez, Matt Dominguez, and Tyler Green. 6, 7, 8. Tony DeFrancesco's batting order. Valdez have a dickens of a time here finding the strike zone. So much so that Doug Brocail will jog out of the Astros dugout, pay his right-hander a visit.
No, he's not a young guy, even though they just called him out of the minor leagues. Originally signed by the Yankees. Never made it to the Yankees in the major leagues, but 29 years old. That was a very quick trip by Brocail. You can imagine what he said. Might be 2 words: throw strikes.
No, Valdez is unable to comply there, and now he's fallen behind 3-0. Reiner Cruz, a right-hander, is up and throwing in the Houston bullpen. J.J. Hoover, meanwhile, has joined Broxton in the Reds pen. There's a strike. Two on, 2 out here in the bottom of the 8th. Heisey got jammed and pops it up. Green handles it, and that will send this game into the 9th inning. Going in, Reds in front, 5-1. Great American Ballpark, and at each Sunday home game, families can purchase up to 3 non-premium tickets at half price with a purchase of 1 full-price ticket in the same section. Don't miss out on all the family fun on Sundays here at Great American Ballpark. Offers available in advance of game day only. Some restrictions do apply. Visit reds.com/family for more details. Look at tomorrow's probables. Johnny Cueto in quest of number 18. You figure he'll have 3, maybe 4 more regular season starts against the right-hander, 29-year-old Edgar Gonzalez, who made his first start on the 3rd of this month against Pittsburgh, picked up the win. His first start in the big league since 2008. He'll go for the Astros. It's a 1:10 game tomorrow, right here in Fox Sports Ohio with Reds Live, 12:30. Jonathan Broxton takes over to work the top of the 9th. Marshall an inning, a walk, a strikeout.
Just another well-pitched game by the Reds pitchers against the Houston Astros. Arroyo, second time he went out there and pitched and gave up only 1 run. 7 innings today, 1 run. Last time out, 6 innings, 1 run. Good outing last night for Homer Bailey. Tight job so far by the bullpen and Sean Marshall, and Broxton on his way. He's a throwback. How about his walk-up music for Broxton?
You like that, didn't you?
Pulling some songs back out of the late 70s. Black Sabbath.
Ooh. A little Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Jammed on that is J.D. Martinez, and Phillips will throw him out for the first out of the 9th.
All right, so Henry Rodriguez gets his first major league hit. They saved the baseball, but they're going to give him some high fives. And I'll tell you what, everybody in that ball club loved that kid in spring training.
Well, you love to contribute. You love to feel part of what's going on, and probably Henry does right now.
Well, he just had such a good attitude. I mean, he kept his mouth shut. He played hard. He showed up early every day. And he really endeared himself to his teammates. And I'm very happy first he got the call up, and just delighted that he got his major league hit tonight.
There's Matt Dominguez.
And you do feel more part of it once you get in a ball game and actually get a hit.
Well, he'll remember that forever, won't he?
He'll be listening to your call of his first major league hit probably every time his phone rings. Put on as his ringtone.
Or if he takes the radio call, he'll get the Hall of Famer, depending on how he goes.
We'll stick with the FS Ohio call.
Henry Rodriguez, and as you said, he did a good job of going down to get that ball. It looked like it was just below the knees, and shoot it hard into right. Yeah, Pete Rose ties Ty Cobb September the 8th, 1985. Henry Rodriguez, September the 8th, 2012, first big league hit. Dominguez tonight 1 for 3. Make it 2 for 4 as he shoots it on into center for his second hit of the night. Now Tyler Green will be lifted here. Brian Bogusevic off the Astros bench to bat for Green. Bogusevic bats for Green. He's hitting .210 on the year with 6 home runs. 7 out of 27 as a pinch hitter. He was a pinch runner in the 8th inning for Fernando Martinez last night, then stayed in the game. So he bats for the first time in this series. Caught by Valdez, and a quick throw back to first, but not in time to double up Dominguez. So 2 out. Now Matt Downs will bat for Jose Valdez, representing the last chance for the Astros. Runner on with 2 men out. Reds leading 5-1 here in the ninth. Runner takes off. Dominguez, he'll have defensive indifference there.
Gotta come up with a better word for that, don't you think?
You have something in mind?
No, that's just awfully official sounding.
Defensive indifference?
Yeah, it's like skin condition.
I don't see the correlation, but hey. Special thanks go out tonight to Jeff Geiser from the University of Cincinnati Sports Information Office, filling in for the irreplaceable one, Joel Luckup.
He's replaceable tonight.
Taking care of some personal business tonight. He'll be back tomorrow, but Jeff has filled in and done a great job as our statistician here in the booth.
He did indeed.
Thank you, Jeff. Now the Reds are a strike away. Many of the 35,000 here tonight on their feet. Cardinals trailing. Pirates have already lost. Reds a strike away from a win. Jeff Samardzija making his final start of the year. The Cubs have announced that they will shut him down after his start today at Pittsburgh. Gets the win tonight for the Cubbies. They win 4-3 over the Pirates. Milwaukee leading 5-3 in the ninth at St. Louis. Well, Downs hanging around in there. Three for 31 as a pinch hitter this year, Matt Downs. Of course, he scored the winning run 1 week ago tonight against the Reds down in Houston. He bats here with a runner at second base and 2 out, and the Reds leading 5-1.
Looking for win number 84 with this out. And everybody on their feet.
Frazier can't get it. Valdez does, but does not make a throw. That is a pinch hit infield single for Matt Downs. And the Astros have them at the corners with 2 out. Jimmy Paredes will come to the plate, and Barnes, who will come into the on deck circle, will represent the tying run. Now Chapman has gotten up and starts to throw in the Reds bullpen. Paredes 0 for 4. In the series, 1 out of 9. Switch hitter up there from the left side against Broxton. And Jonathan falls behind.
Well, I imagine that if Aroldis Chapman can get warmed up quickly enough and Paredes is able to extend this inning, the save situation would present itself, and Dusty Baker would probably go to the pen to bring in the left-hander.
Swing and a miss. Dominguez at third, and Downs is over at first. And Broxton falls behind 2-1. There's Chapman. He appears ready to go. Charged with a blown save last night, ending his streak of 27 consecutive converted saves. He comes in, it would be a save for him. It, of course, is not a save situation for Broxton, as you cannot create your own save situation. Late on that. 2-2 count now on Paredes. Time that Broxton has been out there for the Reds this year. His 49th appearance overall between the Royals and the Reds. Trying to put the finishing touches on this Saturday night affair. And he does. Strike 3 called. Reds win their 84th game of the year. Final score here tonight. The Reds 5, the Astros 1. That's more like it right there.
Oh, you're not kidding about that. He just put a little tension into the ballpark, no problem. A lot of the crowd stayed around. Another win for the Reds. They even the series at 1 apiece. Johnny Cueto on the mound tomorrow, but win number 84 for this ball club. Man, oh man, Dusty Baker's got to be proud of his guys.
Final score, the Reds 5 and the Astros 1. We'll come back with more from Great American Ballpark right after this.